You've found Find Your Flock, Season 2. I'm Dr. Sandra Clavijo. Join me as we hear how students turn curiosity into careers that make an impact. Today's guest is Samuel Schmitt. He is going to tell us a little bit about his path in computer engineering and our Launchpad program. Hey, Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm originally from New York City. I was like born in Brooklyn and grew up mostly in Staten Island. And when I first joined Stevens, I was kind of undecided, declared like first biomedical engineering. But then it was an intro to programming class, like in first semester, that I think like everyone who's in the engineering spine kind of takes where I was like first introduced to like software development. Before that, I'd never like touched a line of code, or the only thing I saw was like from movies. So it was like from that first exposure, especially like with the really like kind professor Mukund, that I started to like really like programming. I even got introduced to the Launchpad program through that. And from that point, I kind of I guess knew then that I wanted to switch majors into something that would align better. And I ended up deciding on computer engineering.
Excellent. So what semester did you switch your major then? Was it the second
Um,
semester or the third semester?
I believe it was second or third, which I believe like in the full like engineering spine, I think it's the first 3 semesters that you could really go undecided, kind of getting exposed to all of the different like subjects. So I decided like early enough where I didn't need to like cram some courses in order to like make the 4 years still. So I was really lucky that I like found out pretty early on like what I wanted to switch to and what I wanted to commit to. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we try to design the curriculum where there is some flexibility in that first couple of semesters as you get to know more, about each engineering discipline. Um, I want to talk to you a little bit about the time in the Launchpad program, and how you were introduced to that and how that kind of overlaid with computer engineering.
Yeah, of course. So like Launchpad is sort of like a startup incubator accelerator program that was like smaller at first, like during my year, but like it has since like grown and like had a lot more support from like Stevens admin in general. But during my time, I remember joining based on that intro to programming class. And it was very much tied with computer engineering, at least for me, because it felt like it was a lot easier to get entrepreneurial pursuits that are more like software based and less hardware based. So, like, I'd say going through my learnings, like at Stevens, just with like my regular computer engineering courses, it was like a perfect supplement to that, where I could kind of get like more of a generalized like intro to like all of these computer courses, like microprocessors, semiconductors, with the regular computer engineering spine. But then in Launchpad, I was able to like really explore like entrepreneurship. And I'd say like as an influence to like entrepreneurial thinking at the time, like before Stevens, I always knew like I kind of wanted to pursue like some more like creative or things that I could own and distribute myself. But I'd say like Launchpad really sealed it as like something that I think could be achievable. So it was taking like a lot of that traditional learning, and then combining it with like an open space for like creative projects, but not just like class projects, because these were like full on products that we were aiming to launch and distribute amongst um, like any customers or users that the product would kind of serve for.
That's awesome. So I know you have your own company now, and just or your CTO of a company. Was that from Launchpad or was this like tied into one of your Launchpad projects? I know you guys do a couple different ones. I know the program likes to cycle through and fail fast and quickly and on to the next. So, is this something that, happened after Launchpad or through Launchpad? But tell us a little bit about Sale.
Yeah, so currently I am like the chief technical officer at Sale, which is like a recent, I think, development at the start of this year. Like that's when I really formed that position. Before that, I was more so like a full stack developer for the team. But this, I would say, isn't directly like influenced from like a project that I started in Launchpad, but I'd say like my time at Launchpad um, kind of like brought me to this like career point, definitely, because I wouldn't have the tools or the knowledge of entrepreneurship or startups or how they work. And I wouldn't like naturally have been able to like be a part of a company like this. But I did like start like several projects during my time in Launchpad. The first one was Quay, which was a like community voting platform. Me and my co-founder Brendan were like very like involved or motivated to like help local communities like thrive with more representation through like digital means. So we were approaching like different Hoboken city council members that we met with. We even met with Mayor Bala at the time. And it was really like interesting to see like how like product development can like just not only work in terms of tech, but like also the people and the types of relationships they have to bridge. From that point, with the same co-founder, we made like this party picture taking like application, very like similar to Be Real. I think like more people are familiar with, where people would just like take a picture, or the application, like you would join a party, kind of like a game, and then it would notify like a random member of the party to just take a quick snapshot at that moment, so that at the end of the event you would have like all of these pictures taken like candidly and like in fun like random circumstances. From that point I actually started to get into like web3 development. Like this was like much more intensive and involved, and I'd say like new. There weren't it was really interesting to be a part of it in Launchpad, because there, since it's like such new tech, there weren't that many courses yet being offered at Stevens or in any other generalized university. So it was a really good way to get into like more new tech, especially like Web3 and crypto development. And from that point, like me and several other Launchpad members joined and attended these hackathons. Like the first one was offered in New York City. We got some prize money, and then we got motivated to take that prize money and invest it on like going on a trip to Colombia, like Bogota. Yeah, so from that point, like we really got hooked, and we wanted to like make an organization that would help like other students at Stevens and Launchpad be able to attend these events as well. So we brought, I think, like initially it was just four of us, and we brought like four other students to join us in Paris for another hackathon event that was hosted there, and brought that same team along to Istanbul. So yeah, we just attended all of these different like hackathons, doing a lot of fast-paced product development, just in the weekends that were offered. So I'd say like upon graduating and like looking for career opportunity, I knew I wanted to work in startups at some capacity. So the first like contract that I got was for about a year. But the like a stipulation of the contract was I needed to relocate to Europe, and like that's how, yeah, like I'm based in Madrid, Spain now. So I relocated like 2.5 years ago to start that first contract. And then after that point, I got connected. That contract ended, and I had to decide whether or not to go back to New York and find work there, or to just look around Europe and see what kind of startup opportunities were offered. And then that's when I connected with the sale team. My that first contract, it was a team of three, so still like very small team. And then the sale team I joined the as a fourth hire, along with the fifth hire as well. And then now our team has grown to six different people. And this company is like focused on offering like a financial service, like autonomous AI agents. There are different like lending protocols, basically like different savings accounts that are offered in like the decentralized space. So we are essentially making like an autonomous AI agent that finds all of these different like yield opportunities for you. So you just deposit like basically US dollars into this agent, and then it finds you like different APYs offered across different protocols. There's like countless, right, for the average person who doesn't know anything about crypto or anything about yield or savings, for instance. So for a single person to like look at the space and see that there's like 50 plus or like average protocols that people are using today, um, to have like one single deposit point, and all it is an AI agent that then manages those funds across all of the different networks and different asset types. That's what Sail is like aiming to offer like all of our users. So we've been growing like steadily after like a launch about like 5 months ago. Um, so yeah, it's been like an amazing experience, like joining the team, not having much built, but like knowing that we wanted to be on the intersection of like AI agents and crypto tech, like two of the newest like trends that are in this in software development today. Just being on like the intersection of that and knowing like that we want to build a product that can serve at that intersection has been like the most rewarding experience, I'd say, like in my career.
So that's so exciting living abroad. Can you tell us what it's like to be living abroad and, how had Launchpad prepared you for that?
Yeah, of course. What was crazy or very unexpected, I'd say, is I was just looking for work for startups. I was applying to like exclusively just startups because I feel like that was where I wanted to be. And at the time applying, the one of the like I guess like series of interviews that I'd say like I got like to after like a development challenge, like a couple of technical challenges and like 3 interviews with the CTO. I was offered a position, but like with the stipulation that I would be required to relocate to Europe. Like based on the time zone difference, the team was already based in Europe. And it was something like I had to commit to. I remember like talking with my family and saying like, hey, like this would be super cool. But it's like my first career position. So I ended up committing to it, figuring out the visa status with the company, learning a lot, deciding like where I was going to relocate because it was still fully remote, just anywhere in Europe. So I landed on Madrid, Spain. It's like I heard like a lot of recommendations from friends who even had like who knew people based from Spain, Madrid. So that's where I landed. Um, and yeah, I'd say one thing that I definitely like learned from being abroad is that like although the like culture and people change, like a lot of the technical problems are more or less the same, like across an ocean. So like the well-rounded education that like I got at Stevens just based on like all of the different engineering curriculums and the exposure to all of those subjects as well as like the entrepreneurship that I got from Launchpad. I think like I was very like prepared to just like analyze like any of the differences and similarities of like the technical problems and kind of just be ready to like face them like no matter what they are. And yeah, just being the first career position, I'd say like I was very like open-minded and like ready to just explore and like take on any challenge that would be put in front of me. So I'd say like yeah, I was very like well prepared, but of course there were the obstacles and the learning, the lessons that I had to learn from like making that big journey. But since then, like I'm committed to like staying out here. I already like found my second position and now I'm a CTO. So I think like I have like a good like long-term plan to stay.
That's amazing. I mean, I feel like now, like you've covered everything I wanted to ask you, about all of your positions. A lot of students ask me, like, what is the difference between computer engineering and software engineering?
Mm.
Structurally, I mean, I hold the requirements of curriculum, so I know what courses they take. But for somebody who's working in the industry, I mean, what do you think the differences are? What advice would you give students that are interested in kind of, these new tech? Where the new tech is, what program at Stevens would help prepare them, to be on those fronts with crypto and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there are like 3 major degrees that I think people like hop between in terms of deciding. One is computer science, another being software engineering, and then the one that I decided to take was computer engineering. I personally really liked computer engineering because it felt like it offered a lot of everything, especially like it offered like some hardware courses where you get to like deal with microprocessors, FPGA boards, like going into like very low level, like learning how do computers like in work essentially. So like having like a very low level understanding and like introduction into these topics, I think like you're not going to become like a microprocessor like career path like immediately, like based on just exposure to like one or two courses. But I'd say of the other engineers like I've met like in the 2.5 years that I've been working. I've met like a substantial amount of computer engineers and electrical engineers, which are like very cross discipline. And from my like perspective of the course is it does like have that very well-rounded education spine where you learn a lot about software, a lot about hardware, and how they play hand in hand, and the projects and the I guess the interdisciplinary like workflows, like even with the design spine at Stevens, like allows you to like kind of sit in that position, like the in between of like software and hardware, and see how you can fit yourself into that like space. So it feels very like open ended, and that's what like attracted me the most, is that I didn't have to feel like super locked into a box with hardware or software.
Amazing. I think this will give a lot of students some really great things to think about as they're selecting and their fourth semester courses, and kind of moving through their studies. I think the last question I want to ask you is, I know you pitched a lot through Launchpad, but give us your best pitch why someone should consider Launchpad and computer engineering at Stevens.
Well, um, for computer engineering, I'd say it's very simple. It's the exposure to all parts, hardware and software, for you to decide like how heavy you want to go into either category. Like at the end of the computer engineering, like up 4 years and getting the degree, like I was exposed to enough to understand that my place is like in like software development, like really like low level or high level full stack like web development, and I found my place in like startups and product development like that. But I've known people in the same degree that really got obsessed with like the hardware development and the microprocessors, and going low level, or even learning a little bit of security elements. So it's just like a very my pitch for computer engineering is that it's a place for you to, like, if you like computers, it's a place for you to decide like where are you going to fit with finding a career that has computers involved. I'd say it's a perfect platform for you to figure that out yourself. In terms of Launchpad, if you're going to Stevens and you're curious about Launchpad, I'd say the traditional education spine in Stevens is full of innovation, and it's full of like motivation to like build these really creative projects. But Launchpad is a space where it's for those students who are really attracted to the idea that they want to start and create something of their own. And it's an immense challenge and almost a burden to like go down that path. But for those students who are like very attracted by the idea of owning their craft, and learning about how do you start a business, how do you speak with investors, how do you network and build these relationships where you could really pave like a path for you to find your entrepreneurial like mindset. Um, I'd say it's like a beautiful program. Like, the not only does it provide like all of the lessons and education around entrepreneurship and startups, but it has this kind of like family atmosphere where everyone who's going through the same like hurdles and obstacles, if they've experienced something, they're going to help you to like soften that blow so that you're not hurting the same way that they hurt, and they could pass like that knowledge and lessons learned so that everyone in the program can benefit. So it's like a perfect community of these people who are overcoming challenges, and like holding hands along the way to like make sure that no one else falls behind. So I still, like, most of the friends that I made during my time at Stevens have been through the Launchpad program, and I still keep up with them, constantly catch up, even though I'm like an ocean across the ocean away. It's a really nice program. That's my pitch for that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to just really thank you for joining me, sharing your experiences with your openness and such enthusiasm for our programs. We hope this conversation gave all of our future ducks something to think about as they are approaching picking their majors and their auxiliary programs. So thank you so much. Have a good day.
Awesome. Thanks.
You've been listening to Find Your Flock, Season 2. I'm Dr. Sandra Clavijo. Thanks for joining us as we help future ducks find their path at Stevens. Don't forget to follow and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, and share this episode with a future duck.